Hey everyone, Kyle once again, and welcome back to another movie review. And on the second movie review we'll be doing is for this, I call this a comedy mystery classic. Like with this is two of my favorite mystery comedy films. You know, one first was Clue, which I reviewed like years ago, and now this one is possibly my second favorite one. Because Clue and this film that I grew up watching both with my dad, because we both enjoyed these comedy classics, you know, together, watching them together. So, but this one I also do enjoy, and that is of Murder by Death. After I said I wanted to review this after Kiss of the Dragon, so this is the next film I want to review. So, Murder by Death features an ensemble cast of David Niven, Peter Sellers, Maggie Smith, Nancy Walker, Elsa, Lanchester, Alec Guinness, Peter Falk, James Coco, Truman Capote, Estelle, Winwood, Eileen, Brennan. So and also not on here, but also you got James Cromwell as well, in his first feature film. And it's written by Neil Simon, who recently passed away, like sometime back in 2018. Neil Simon, he's written on some other stuff, but this is the film that I most know him for, Neil Simon. But he recently passed away, like sometime in late of last year, and it's a parody. Our characters are like taking like parodies from other like fictional detectives as well. So, and I thought it's also very simple as well. Like okay, so how the story is in this film, which was released in 1972 and did fairly well at the time. Well, actually, no, sorry, I was thinking of something else. Not 1972, 1976. Yeah, 1976. And there's a group of detectives. These are a group of detectives, which each these detectives are parodied of another detective. Well, first we were introduced with how there's this big mansion in this house in the middle of nowhere, basically, and which is owned by this guy named Lionel Twain, which is played by author Truman Capote. In which, you know, if you know the name of Truman Capote, which is an author of the film, he was an author, I think it was filmed in Cold Blood, I think it was, and there was a film called Capote, which Philip Seymour Hoffman portrayed him in the 2005 film Capote, and Philip Seymour Hoffman played him, which he won an Oscar for Best Actor. But yeah, author of Truman Capote, yeah. But he plays Lionel Twain, and he has his blind butler played by Alec Guinness, you know, Obi-Wan Kenobi himself. This was the year before he started as Obi-Wan in the original Star Wars. And Alec Guinness, I thought he was pretty funny as his blind butler. Tells you like Lionel Twain tells him to mail these stamps, and you don't see him like he's licking the stamps, but you don't see him like putting it on the stamps until it cuts to like he's actually stamping the desk instead of the letters. So Alec Guinness, I think he was pretty fun as the blind butler. And then we are introduced to our first of pairing, a detective played by Dick and Dora Charleston, played by David Niven and Maggie Smith. And David Niven and Maggie Smith are parodied they're modeled after Duchnell Hammett's characters Nick and Nora Charles from the Thin Man film series. So, and like tried to make a type of phone call, and like see like our character like Lionel Twain puts on the gloves and like snips the telephone. It's like nobody answered the phone went dead. Then why'd you say hello? Why, I could have sworn. What, Dickie? Sounds like somebody snipped the wire. Really? What did it sound like? Snip. And as you know, you also know that Maggie Smith's been in a lot of other movies as well, but including appearing in the Harry Potter series as well. David Niven's been in a couple films. Like I think he was in the original Around the World in 80 Days, and he was also in the original Pink Panther film as well. So, and then we introduced to our second detective of Inspector Sidney Wang, played by Peter Sellers. Which he's Chinese, and so, but Peter Sellers is pulls up the Chinese look well. So, yeah, and of course, Wang, Peter Sellers is parodied of our fictional Chinese detective, not Charlie Chan. That's what it was. That's what he's parodied from, Charlie Chan. For a second, I was gonna say Jackie Chan, but Charlie Chan. So that's what Peter Sellers is parodied of, Inspector Sidney Wang, and he's with his adopted Japanese son. So, and he's like he doesn't say like he doesn't say his pronouns, like it's like he doesn't say start of the sentences like what was how he used to say like how does it. There's certain words he doesn't say for it. He doesn't complete his sentences by saying certain words. So, and then he runs into bumps into David Niven, and then which is right funny. Right in the middle of the conversation, the son drives off. Right when he cuts off Peter Sellers, like conversations like fresh mushrooms must always it's like, idiot. Not finished. Mushroom story. You're idiots. See, at least he calls him "you're idiots." Like you're an idiot. He just didn't say the N word. So like he misses words like that. And then we get to our next pairing. Miss Perrier, played by James Coco, which he's parodied of because we have that thin mustache. He's obviously parodied of Hercule Poirot. And he's with his chauffeur, played by a very young James Cromwell in his first feature film, which I mentioned before. James Cromwell's been in a lot of movies. Which recently not that long ago, I reviewed I, Robot. He was the professor that supposedly he committed suicide that Will Smith's investigating. So yeah, James Cromwell, he's in. I threw the film. He's in that. He's been in a lot of other films as well. And this is his first film, so let's see. James Cromwell, he does a good job. Trying to pull up like a French accent, you know. I was like, well, I'm sorry, Mr. Bellier, like I said nothing. This fog is as thick as boogie vase. So, and it's like and James Cromwell's talking to Mr. Perrier. He's like, something's not right in all this, huh? I can feel it in my buns. In your what? In my buns. Buns? Yeah, buns. You bought buns? You didn't tell me. Where are they? Where are the buns? Oh no, monsieur, the buns in my butty. You should not speak with an accent when you know I'm so hungry. And then we introduce our next pairing, Sam Diamond, played by Peter Falk, you know, from Columbo. And he's with his which is of course he's parodied of another additional Hammett character of the Maltese Falcon Horrible Sam Spade, so he's parodied of that. And his secretary Tess Skevington, played by Eileen Brennan, which she was also in that. She was also in Clue as well. She played Mrs. Peacock. And you know, just Peter Falk, you know, here's talking with a New York accent, you know. Well, he says he's from San Francisco though. This is the way he talks like with a New York accent, you know. Nobody asked you, baby. You're talking talking like this, you know. But everybody in this cast does a good job. So Peter Falk, he was also a hoot to watch. Peter Falk, may he rest in peace. And then our fifth detective we won't introduce until a little bit later. So, and then back with Peter Sellers, they approach the bridge and he gets out of the car and is like, weight of 2 men may be too much for bridge. Then why do I get to drive the car? Because I smart enough to get out first. It's just, the sun starts driving across, starts starts collapsing, but he eventually makes it. It's like, I made it, Pop! I made it! Good, good. Now come back and get adopted father. And then they approach the house, and then our mysterious figure, which is supposed to be Lionel Twain, but which pushes the statue on top because they're standing on footprints, right? But insinuates like almost suspects something is wrong here. It's like, do not ask questions. Do as I say. When I tell you jump, you jump. It's like 1, 2, 3, and jump, and then they get out of the way just in time. And they notice the shoe size print on the ground, and then the son rings the doorbell and it sounds like a woman screaming. And first it's like, holy cow, they're killing someone in there. Calm yourself. But did you hear a scream? Ah, no. You heard scream. More experience here. A doorbell. Listen again. Ah! Ah! Yeah, it's because that's the sound of the doorbell. Is a woman screaming. Mr. Twain has macabre sense of humor. So then Alec Guinness comes in, lets him in, and this is also a lot of funny lines of dialogue on this movie. But I don't want to give too much. But if you want, because when you're doing a comic film, I don't want to give it too much of the dialogue away because otherwise it's not gonna sound funny. So I won't get too much into it. But if you haven't seen the film, I recommend you check it out. So you can see the rest of the film for yourself. So I don't give away too much of what's funny and what's not. So I want to go through it step by step. So eventually they let the butler leads to the rooms, which as soon as they open the door of the room, their bed is on fire, and they're like, and then of course they put it out, and then Alec Guinness like, it's a bit smoky, sir. I'm afraid that old fireplace has been used in years. At least the bed will be warm. And then David Niven and Maggie Smith, they come in next, and all right, and then they're talking like how, like, from what they need to know that how what's Alec Guinness's name is like, because David Niven's like, what's your name? Benson, Mum. Benson. Oh, Mr. Benson. No, Benson, Mum. My name is Benson, Mum. Benson, Mum? Yes, sir. James, sir. Benson, Mum. James or Benson, Mum? Yes, sir. And then they go to the next room, which is like all covered in cobwebs and stuff like that. But David Niven thinks, already figures things out like, baking flour. This dust is baking flour. And these cobwebs, canned sugar. Just a place here just to frighten us. And that mouse, obviously a mechanical toy, picks it up. It's like, silly. What? It's real. Ah! And then now James Coco and James Cromwell, they arrive next. And just in time for when they get out of the way, it's like, James Coco's like, didn't I say jump? Try jump, I say. Why don't you listen to me? Oh, leave me alone, sloppy. And while they're there, when they enter, Alec Guinness is in the kitchen, and he introduced to the cook, who is deaf, a blind butler and a deaf person, which it plays of the deaf and blind and deaf thing off quite funnily, because what was the actress Nancy Walker, who plays the cook, like, she gets this on a replay because since he's blind, he can't see, so he's like, oh, I am Gata, I can't read, I can't hear. So, and so then when they get to the Alec Guinness leads into their room, and then Peter Falk and Eileen and Brennan go in, and which Peter Falk pretends like he got hit by the statue, and like puts a gun to Alec Guinness. And then everyone else gets ready for the dinner they're going to. And then since they're having conversation, then we introduce to our last detective, Miss Jessica Marbles, and who's with her nurse. And Jessica Marbles is played by is parodied after of Miss Marple, Marple, like Marple, and And which actually is quite funny if you know well, she looks much older in this film than how younger she was back then. Elsa Lanchester, who plays Jessica Marbles, she's actually if you wanted to know, she's the original Bride of Frankenstein. She plays the Frankenstein's monster's bride. I was like, as I look back on it, I was like, oh really? That she played the Bride of Frankenstein years back? Wow. Yeah. So if anyone, if it was on scene, well, I probably assume if you haven't seen this film, but anyone who hasn't seen the original Bride of Frankenstein, yeah, Elsa Lanchester, who plays Miss Marbles in this film, which not that she's not on the cover here, but yeah, the original Bride of Frankenstein is in this, so she plays Jessica Marbles, Elsa Lanchester, and so now, it's dinner time, and then as soon as they could get a toast for a drink, and Peter Sellers makes suspect something that the wine is poison. Like he pours his glass and like on the napkin, like Steven creates a hole in the napkin, but James Coco suspects his is fine, so he drinks it. It was only Mr. Wang who was given the poison glass. And he's like, he almost doubles over the table. He's like, no, it's okay. My wine is not poison. It was just a bad year. And so, then when the butler comes in, he's supposed to serve the soup, right? But there's nothing in it. And one of my favorite lines that my dad likes is like, when James Coco is like, "Wait a minute, where's the soup? In your dish, sir. There's nothing in my dish but my dish." My dad, that's one of the lines that he loves. Is that line right there? There's nothing in my dish but my dish, and then it makes Alec get his taste that there's nothing in it. So, and then another thing where David Niven and Peter Sellers are going to exchange sheets, but then some swords fall in their seats, and the lights black out, and then Lionel Twain appears, out of nowhere, and it's like, whoa, it's an illusion, all that stuff. And since they brought this, some of them are angry that but nothing but trouble. So, but Lionel Twain, he puts the whole place on lockdown and traps everyone in it. And Peter Sellers is like, "What meaning of this, Mr. Twain?" "I'll tell you, Mr. Wang. It's for someone who doesn't say their abbreviations or prefaces properly. What is the meaning of this?" That's why I said, "What meaning of this?" He didn't say the. He says, "What meaning?" instead of the meaning. So he tells them that he brought them all here to solve this mystery that hasn't been solved. So, like, how people are here to the house until they find one person murdered, stabbed 10, 12 times in the back with a butcher's knife. So, and it's their time to solve it. And to make things more interesting, he offers them $1 million tax-free in cash. So, offers him $1 million, and then he and as soon as he goes appears on the other end of the table, and Peter Falk first he says, "Oh, I never moved, Mr. Diamond. I'm still down there." And Peter Falk gets his gun out and prepares to shoot him, thinking it won't work. But he says, "Oh wait, sometimes it doesn't work." And then he pushes a button, and he just rolls back in his chair out the door. And then since someone's gonna be murdered and we don't know who's who, they suggest they all join hands together so that way no one will be murdered. Everyone will be here at the same time when it happens, when it heads at 12 o'clock at midnight. So, but then the cook comes in, trying to explain what happened, thinking that gives them no saying that the butler's dead. So Peter Sellers, Elsa Lanchester, and James Coco, they go investigate, and they find his body there, dead. And they see that there's a cup of tea or something that's been poisoned, and then one of the butcher's knives is missing. So they head back in to the dining room, but everyone is gone. It's completely empty. And Peter's just like, "Room filled with empty people." And then Truman Capote is like spying on them through the moose head on the wall. Is telling him that there's no secret passageways, and telling him that they never left the room. So, tells him to count to 10, and then they tell him to go back in the other room, close the door, and count to 10, and then open it again. So they go back into the which they came from. They close the door, count to 10, and then open the door. Everybody's there. So, and then they hear gunshots, and then this time David Niven and Peter Falk, they go this time. And as they go back to the kitchen, they find that Alec Guinness's body, he's been stripped naked. His clothes are gone. And that's again, why don't you? Peter Falk tells David Niven to look all over him to see if he's been shot. Doesn't. There's nothing to say, but it was nothing but a diversion. So, as they walk out, David Niven has to use the bathroom. Then Peter Falk walks back in the dining room. Everybody's gone again, and he walks. He's just like, the other door is locked from the inside. And he's like, that can only mean one thing, and I don't know what it is. So he goes to see Charleston's in the bathroom, and he switches like the room where he was in with his dog. He closes it, opens it, and he's in there. And then he goes back to the other room, at least the dining room, and everybody's there again. And he explains what happened, the same thing that happened with them. And they come to realization that it's two dining rooms. Two dining rooms to everything. He's able to switch the dining room quickly and silently. So, like with James Coco, he says, I'll demonstrate. After walking the door, everybody will be gone. So he goes and demonstrates it, and then out comes David Niven. And everyone, since it's getting close to midnight, they want to sit back everyone down, and then James Coco appears on the other side of the door, and as Peter Falk shoots the door, he's in the butler's clothes. So they're holding hands, and it's midnight, and everyone here is safe and sound, but the cook is missing as well, though. Despite the cook is missing. And then they hear a knock at the door, and then when Peter Falk goes to open it, there's Truman Capote, but he falls down dead with a knife in his back. So, and Peter Falk says he has to use the can again, bathroom. And he comes back in, and he finds a big briefcase and opens it. It's like it's the cook, but as a dummy in parts. So, and they go back into the living room to talk more. And as our conversation goes, that they all each have a connection. They all have encountered with Lionel Twain sometime in the past, like with David Niven. He's like he's broke, so he's been borrowing money from Lionel Twain, and saying that what was it Miss Skevington Ellen Brennan. Saying that Twain was her uncle, and then they say that Inspector Wang, he was adopted by Lionel Twain, and since he found that he was like Chinese, he kicked him out, and that Lionel Twain points to James Coco that he killed the only thing he ever loved, his poodle, and then also for the first one, like mentioned with Elsa Lanchester, Miss Marble, that she was originally going to be married to Lionel Twain, but dumped him at the altar. And then Peter Falk, he admits he had nothing to do with Lionel Twain, but Miss Skevington explained that he's like, Twain picked up Sam at a gay bar. I was working on a case. and he's like, Twain had pictures of Sam in drag. I was in disguise. Lots of things go to those places. I never kissed nobody, and I wouldn't do that to a man if I wouldn't do it to a woman. I did not kill Twain. He walks up to her and says, "Bitch." That's another line that my dad likes. He says that. The way he says it. So they all go to bed, and each one is like a different trap for them as they're in their bedrooms. Like with Wayne and his adopted son, as they turn off the lights in bed, and then they hear a hissing sound, and the son, Willie, that's his name, is like, "Should I turn off the steam pop?" "Not steam. Someone just put deadly snake in room. Wake me when it comes near bed." And then with David Niven and Maggie Smith, Charleston, as they're laying in their bed, they see a poisonous scorpion crawling up their sheets, and he's saying that they don't move. So, and then with Miss Marble and her nurse, she smells gas, and The nurse is like, "Oh, it doesn't smell that bad to me." And then when Peter Falk and they hear a ticking sound, and it's a bomb. There's a bomb in the room, and it's like he tells Skevington to turn around, and he's like, I think I'm gonna cry. And she hears him crying like this. He's going like this. And then with James Coco and James Cromwell, the ceiling is coming down towards them. Trying to flatten them, and then so James Cromwell he goes and hides his bed, and James Cromwell he's just trying to hold it off. So, and then our mystery person, which the whole time, our mystery person is supposed to cross off the guest list, and Peter Sellers pops up. He's like, "Not so fast, please. Do not cross out Wang name. Cross out snake instead." And Will comes in, he has a snake around his neck. He's like, "Nice shot, Pop." And it's just the thing. The only one who survived will get the $1 million. $1 million, Mr. Benson, Alec Guinness. He's the man behind the whole thing. And he's like, "Very good, Mr. Wang. Oh yes, as you can see, I can see. So I see. Tell me, as the only survivor, how did you deduce it was me? Went back to theory. Sounds amusing right now. Butler did it." and then one by one, each of our detectives, they're all still alive. They survived the wherever the events, and asking if they deserve that money. And then Alec Guinness is not really Alec Guinness. It's actually Lionel Twain. He pulls off his face, saying that discrediting them for their books. That they left out a whole bunch of things like make them sell more. So, and so no, it tells him to check out. He opens the button. He pushes the button to let everyone out, saying that he has their bills. He'll take cash or credit cards will be accepted. So as they all leave, well, it's not really Lionel Twain at all either. So he takes off a hat. It was actually the Nancy Ward who's the cook. She's also, he pulls off his face and it smokes and starts laughing. So, but yeah, it's a fun classic comedy mystery film like Clue. It's because of this film with Clue and this film, me and my dad just love watching together. So it's another fun classic comedy. The whole cast does a really good job. Like Truman Capote as Twain, Peter Falk, Peter Sellers, James Coco, James Cromwell, Alec Guinness, David Niven, Maggie Smith, Estelle Winwood, Elsa Lanchester. So the whole cast does a good job. So, but I really enjoy this film. It's definitely for another really good classic mystery comedy like with Clue. So, and it's on for 94 minutes. But it's easily well paced, and I enjoy the score as well. By Dave Grusin, especially dun 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 dun. So I enjoy the score to that as well. But everyone's, I'm sure no one probably hasn't heard of this film though. But if anyone's a fan of watching old films, especially a good comedies or mysteries, I recommend you check out Murder by Death. It's very fun to watch. A lot of stuff I think is pretty much funny, and yeah, it's definitely a fun comedy to watch. So anyone that sees, I recommend you check out Murder by Death. So yeah, so that's my review on Murder by Death from 1976. Has a 7.4 on IMDb. It definitely deserves that, I would say, for that rating as well. So, but thanks for watching, and stay tuned on the next movie review. Later.